Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, it's Football at 4.
Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It's brought to you by the pros at Philly Sports Trips. If you're a die-hard Philly sports fan who's looking for some great Philly sports road trips, it's time to check out the full trip lineup at phillysportstrips.com. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash. Adam Caplan is here for another edition of Football at 4, and the Eagles are on the field. Yes, it's good to have the Birds back. Well, the rookies are running around in shirts and shorts and helmets, but it's nice to have football back on the field. Adam, what's going on, bud?
Yeah, Mike, good to see you. Yeah, it is. Look, it's, we might as well start with that. Do not read into anything you see from any reporter. It doesn't mean anything. I've been to probably anywhere between 12 and 15 rookie camps. I stopped going because I'm like, why am I here? There's nothing to gain out of it except for one thing. This is one thing that I learned. What I'm looking for, how do guys move? How's a guy recover from an injury? Or if like Jordan Mailata, okay, I'll give you an example. In 2018, you heard the Eagles had a rugby player, and I'm like, well, rugby player, oh, come on, this guy's no chance, right? I saw this guy and the way that he moved, and it's probably the thing I'll never forget about him. I just couldn't believe that a guy this big could move like that. I'm like, man, if he could ever figure out how to play football, remember, it was within 48 hours for the first time in his life he put on a football helmet. So you never know. That's the thing, is I'm just looking for how guys move. I don't read into anything because it means absolutely nothing in terms of roles or who's making it or not. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah. There's no competition. They're just on the field. But I do make mental notes of what I see, but do not make anything of anything you see out there. It literally means nothing.
Right. You get a guy out there who's, even like sometimes you see some of these players, these young, undrafted rookies or guys at training camp, and they might impress there, and it's not impressive enough for them to make the team.
Well, there it starts to mean something because there is competition. There's no competition going on here. And I don't tell coaches that. They go, what are you talking about? This is their first time on the field. They're competing. They're really not. They're competing to learn.
I always say, there might be a guy, and this is the one thing that I wonder if coaches take from it. Like a guy walks in, you don't have much anticipation for. At least he can get on your radar like, hey, when we get to training camp, I really want to see what he looks like because he kind of showed me something back there in March or May.
So, Mike, there's a guy named Tuzar Skipper. Tuzar Skipper has been with the Steelers. And
linebacker?
The Titans among teams. He's an outside linebacker. He's a pass rusher. He's not a rookie. He's been with other teams.
Right. I was going to say, the linebacker. Right? He's a linebacker, right?
Right. He's actually really explosive. He had a lot of sacks in college, but he was undersized anyway. He's there today. Now, he's a guy that I've learned these are the kind of guys that if they bring him in, if he looks good, they'll be at the OTAs later on and then to the mandatory camp. So you make a mental note of that. But every once in a while, a guy like, Cameron Brate is of the Buccaneers.
Tight end,
yeah, so he's had a bunch of contracts. What happened was, this is an amazing story. So he went with the Vikings post-draft. He got cut. He was just, I think might have been studying for final exams or something. So the Buccaneers called his agent. They were short tight ends. He said, hey, do you have any tight ends? He says, yeah, I got this guy, Cam Brate from Harvard. He goes, okay, just bring him in. We just need someone in for the rookie camp. And now we're talking 8 or 9 years in. The guy's probably made about $15 million. So those kind of stories rarely happen, but it's what they do once you get to the mandatory camp. If somebody stands out in the mandatory camp, I make a note of that. I'll make a note of it, but they're not wearing pads. There's no competition right now. So it's just make a note of it. If anyone looks athletic, if you're a reporter, okay, let's see if he can get to the next camp.
All right. Tell us a little bit about the undrafted crew that is there this weekend. These are the guys that we're talking about. Who are some of the guys of this group that maybe have a chance to get some more notice when the training camp gets around?
Yeah, here are the guys, if I had to rank them based on what I know. Mario Blackwell is the top by far. They paid him a lot. And for everything I've heard from teams around the NFL is that everyone had draftable grades on him. The problem is his lack of speed and the injuries after his season ended at Clemson. He had a bunch of injuries that he had to deal with, and that kind of knocked him out of the draft. His grades were like grades 5 to 6, rounds 5 to 6. So that knocked him out of the draft. But the guy's a talented football player. He's definitely going to make it somewhere if he doesn't make it with the Eagles. But because the Eagles have such an opening, they don't have a starting corner right now opposite Darius Slay. And quite frankly, they don't have a 2, 3, or 4 outside corner right now. They have a bunch of guys competing, but they don't know who it is. Mm-hmm. So that's why Josh Job's in here. Is another guy who's got a chance to make it. And Josh Blackwell from Duke is there. I think he's got a chance to at least get to training camp. But Job and Blackwell will be the top 2 guys. And then the kid, Ali Fayyad, has got a ton of sacks for Western Michigan. He's going to play outside linebacker, probably the Sam linebacker for them. The Eagles do put a premium in this scheme by Gannon on the Sam linebacker. So the hope is that he gets to training camp. So that's the thing is if you don't get out, let me tell you something. If you don't get from rookie camp to the next camp and to the next camp, boy, you really must have done poorly. Because it's hard. You just basically have to show absolutely nothing at this camp not to move on to the next round.
Well, and I want to get your take on what this means because the Eagles, reportedly anyway, spent a lot of money on some of these guys. They gave some bigger than normal signing bonuses to guys like Noah Ellis, who is a very big defensive tackle, kind of fitting that mold. I don't say he's as big as Jordan Davis, but has a similar type of skill set. So they paid some money to some of these guys.
Yeah, so the biggest signing bonus you could give by league rules is only $40,000. It's the base salaries that they fully guaranteed. They gave a big guarantee to Mario Blackwell. They gave 2 or 3 of them are pretty big. Now, Carson Strong is another guy. The thing is, I would say going into the season, I would have graded him as a 3rd rounder, maybe late 2nd. The problem is he had 2 surgeries last year. We reported this months ago on Inside the Birds, that there was a real chance he's going to drop late in the draft. And, he dropped out of the draft. It's because so many teams took him off the draft board because of the knee, the knee that was surgically repaired within, 6 or 7 months of each other. This destroyed him last season. He wears a big brace. He didn't look great at the Senior Bowl. Teams weren't comfortable with him. But I'll tell you what, remember now, after this season, the quarterback room could look a little different. Let's not forget Gardner Minshew's on the last year of his rookie deal. Jalen Hurts, if he does not play well this season, will be on the last year of his rookie deal. Clearly will not get his contract extended unless he plays well. So Carson Strong's got a lot of ability. He's a big guy and he can spin it. He's got to get through this bad knee he's got. So why not bring him in? That's actually a really good move by the Eagles. He absolutely is a guy you need to take a chance on.
Well, and I know like William Dunkel, Josh Sills, Jared Williams, these are guys who were playing on the offensive line, and the Eagles, as we know, have found undrafted guys to play on the offensive line. And the one problem, I guess, would be they're deep enough that they released Nate Herbig, a guy who has started 17 of 33 games that he has played in, and he got scooped up in a matter of minutes.
Yeah, so he was claimed from the Jets. Obviously, Joe Douglas knew who he was. So with that situation, it's not about making the team for any of these guys. It's actually develop them on their practice squad, do well enough to want to bring them back. You have to waive them because they're not vested. And then once you get through, if they get to training camp, they're going to have to be at training camp. Then if they clear waivers, they go to their practice squad and they develop them. They've had a history of being able to do this, not just particularly at offensive line. That they've been able to develop guys off their practice squad. In fact, I'll give you a little nugget. So Jack Anderson, who was a 7th round pick from the Bills, they cut him. Nobody claimed him. And the Eagles identified him, and the Bills tried to keep him. They tried to talk him out of going to Philly. The Eagles thought so highly of him. As I'm told, he's a big reason why they cut Nate Herbig. They really believe in him. And obviously, because Cam Jurgens is part of that. But I'm told the other reason is Jack Anderson, because he could play guard and center. And you don't need all these guys. Yeah. See, Suapeta is only one position player. He's not a center. The Eagles love versatility. That's why they're going to try to shoehorn in Jurgens this season a little bit at guard. I don't know if they'll be able to play it because he hasn't played it before, but they're going to try.
Adam Caplan, football at 4. Kennedy Brooks is a running back. I've seen a lot of him running wild all over West Virginia. He's an Oklahoma guy. And Covey, I guess, they need a punt returner, somebody in the return game. So that could be a spot for an undrafted player.
Sure. Yeah, and that's the thing with Covey, or Covey, I don't know how you say it, because Rager's not worked out as a returner. Because remember, that was part of why the Eagles drafted him a little bit higher than the grade that he had. The Eagles had a second on him, I believe, if I recall, back 2 years ago. And they drafted him in the third part of the first round because Rager was an elite punt returner. Now, obviously, he's not shown anything like that. They're just they want to improve their special teams returns. That's why we reported that they're in on Andre Roberts, but they, like every other team, did not want to pay him. They wanted to pay him veteran minimum, and he got a little guarantee. He got $900,000, I'm told, in guaranteed money from the Panthers. That's why he signed there. But yeah, they're really trying to attack every need, and who knows? Covey probably won't make the team, but if he does, it would be as a return.
And you mentioned Herbig. He got claimed by the Jets, and obviously, so I guess the one spot in training camp with Herbig not a part of the mix, do you think it's a Driscoll Seimala right guard battle there? Juergens, I guess, is he in that mix? Those three guys.
I would say it's Driscoll to start. I have not heard that they're thinking of starting Juergens at right guard. It should be. We don't have all the answers yet, but basically what we've heard is it should be Seimalo is 1, Driscoll's 1A. Let them compete in training camp for it. Ironically, Seimalo and Driscoll have had pretty significant injury histories since they've been in with the Eagles, particularly the last couple years. And Isaac's had all sorts of injuries. Les Franck is the latest. Driscoll's had 2 or 3 injuries. So the depth is so good. So look at the depth now, right? Dillard, as long as he doesn't get traded by the start of the season, he'll be the backup left tackle. Though we reported that they might give him some snaps in OTAs and the mandatory camp at guard, but he's going to be the main backup left tackle. You've got LaRaven Clark is the backup right tackle for sure if Driscoll's playing at guard. And also Clark can play left tackle.
Can I ask you a question,
Yep.
Adam?
Yep.
You mentioned LaRaven Clark as the backup right tackle. If Lane Johnson got hurt, would they move Mailata to right and put Dillard at left?
No. If Driscoll's healthy, barring a surprise, it would be Driscoll as the right tackle. They had to do it before because of injuries to other players. They don't like doing that. No, it would be, barring something unforeseen, it would be Driscoll.
Okay.
But if you look at their depth, right now they've basically got 11 players for 11 spots. Backups: Dillard, Opeta, Juergens, Anderson, Driscoll, LaRaven Clark. And Brett Toth has come back from a major knee injury. And Awusuka, highly unlikely to make it, but you never know because he's got position versatility. They just don't have enough spots. It's remarkable the depth that they have. They do such an incredible job. And one guy said on our message board, I can't remember the guy's name, I gave him credit. We have a Facebook board. He said it, offensive line factory. Boys, that's the truth.
Right. And
not a quarterback factory, but it's an absolutely offensive line factory.
I said before, their backup 5 are better than many teams' starting 5.
I wouldn't go that far, but because if you really look at it, Driscoll is a good player, but he hasn't shown he could be a full-time starter. Anderson hasn't proven it yet, but they love his versatility. Dillard is flash, but he hasn't been consistent enough. Now, Juergens, we don't know. He's incredibly athletic. He could do some things that are rare for a center, but he's also new to the position. Remember, this guy's a former tight end, and he learned how to play offensive line in Nebraska, so let's not go crazy with him.
Yeah.
But he's got elite athleticism, and they're going to develop.
All right, let's go to what's happening in the front office, because obviously the Eagles were a team that put in a rule to try to stop people from poaching you post-draft, and they got poached again. Catherine Reach is now out. She's going to Cleveland. They made a couple of firings. So kind of walk us through the front office recent restructures here.
Yeah, so here's in our reporting, you can hear the entirety of the show that dropped yesterday on Inside the Birds on YouTube or any podcasting platform. But Mike, Casey Waddle, Andy's brother, is out. We're told he had a year left on his contract. Nothing bad here, just to be clear here. This is what we're told by multiple sources. They have someone they want to promote. We don't know who that is yet, but we're told that they want to promote someone in his place. Casey should have a job within 2 weeks. He's apparently really good at what he does. But this is a decision that was made. A scouting assistant, Evan Pritt, who'd only been there for a couple of years, Pritt's out. TJ McCrate's out. In fact, we're told he's been out for a while. So he won't be back. He was brought in by Joe Douglas. Sean Heinlein, who's been around forever. He started with the Bills, never had made the playoffs until 16 years with the Bills, never made the playoffs, wins a Super Bowl ring with the Eagles, and unfortunately he's out. Good scout, by the way, Southwest scout. He's out. Catherine Reich, we reported, is going to be the assistant GM of the Browns, barring something unforeseen. And when we are told, I don't care what's out there, Mike, Andy Weidl's not being fired. I know there's a lot of speculation. That's why I'm bringing it up. I could crush it. He's not getting fired. We're told he's got time left on his contract. He gets along with people. It's just, it's not just his brother out. It's just people have been speculating on his situation for like 3 weeks. He's staying. That's all I have to say about
Unless he gets hired by Pittsburgh.
Well, right, of course. But no matter what's out there, none of it's accurate about him getting the GM job. I don't know what people are acting like. Well, the Eagles let Casey go because he's going to be the GM of the Steelers. It's so false and stupid. I don't know where. It couldn't have been more the opposite based on what we were told. We were told pretty strongly to. Someone shot that down, and I'll leave it at that.
So the Casey Weidl thing is interesting. They say, well, they like him, he does a really good job, but they want to promote from within. So are there people that are targeting? I mean, that's one of those things. Like, we like the job you're doing. It's almost like Baker Mayfield. You're good, but we just found somebody better than you.
Well, here's what we know about Casey Weidl. I don't know him. I've never met him. I've heard. So something really odd happened. So when Jeff put the tweet out for he and I'm telling you, within 20, 30 minutes, this thing blew up. And Jeff and I got calls and texts. Oh, my God, he's unbelievable. Why would Philly get rid of him? And I raised my hands. I don't know. I just know the only thing that we would later find out that day was that they have someone they like that they want to promote. Now, though I don't know this to be a fact, I do know the Eagles have a history of doing this. When teams come after players, when teams come after front office people, the Eagles say, hey, listen, we like you. We want to promote you. We don't want you going there. So how about this? That could be something, Mike. I'm doing a little speculating. I just know it's happened repeatedly over the years, what we're told. So that could have something to do with it. But Casey's out. We wish him good luck. And the Eagles will pay him, no doubt. They like him. Did nothing wrong. There's no issue with him. It's just they like someone else. So we'll see.
All right. So Catherine Reach is the vice president of football operations, or she was. She's going to be the assistant GM of the Browns. When you lose a person of that, high up in your front office, what kind of hit does that take? What kind of hit does the Eagles front office take? What kind of hit is the Eagles front office taking this offseason?
Yeah, that's it, Mike. You just nailed it. It's a pretty major hit. They lost 2 directors to, as you know, Brandon Brown to the Giants and
Ian Cunningham.
Thank you, to the Bears. And now they lost Rach. So all these people from either the scouting side or Catherine's really from football operations, but what we're told is she'll have more of a scouting role, but she'll be able to get scouting more with the Browns. But it's bad. Look, it's not good when you lose a lot of good people. But what we've been told is they have a pretty good handle of what they're looking for and who they're going to hire. Now, we also reported earlier this week that I would say better than 50-50. Alan Walking, their senior director of college scouting, should get promoted. Dave Caldwell, the former Jaguars GM, who's well-respected in their building as a personnel executive, he's got a chance to get promoted. Phil Byers, a Southeast area scout, could get promoted. We also reported him Inside the Birds that Brandon Hunt, the Steelers pro scouting director, who, by the way, that title is so innocuous. He's got a much bigger role for the Steelers. The Eagles really like him. We'll leave it at that. And I know he's either interviewing today or tomorrow or something. They really want to hire him if he doesn't get the Steelers GM job. So they have a pretty good idea of who they're going to bring in. They're going to bring in some other people from other teams. So we're told they have a pretty good plan together. And they're not going to announce anything. We're also told, at least they don't plan to unless they change their mind. They want to announce all the hires that they're having. They like to do it at one time, we were told.
All right. The Eagles 2-day mini rookie camp began today. Jordan Davis, Kyron Johnson, Craig Calcaterra, they all signed their contracts. Nakobe Dean did not, but he said today, I believe he said he'll be an inside linebacker, he'll be on the field. Got, the fact that this injury thing, so we'll see if once he signs his deal and is out there. So we got that all weekend long. The Eagles are back. Football at 4 will be back on Monday. Jeff Mosher will be here. You can check out the Inside the Birds podcast on the YouTube platform and everything Inside the Birds over at InsideTheBirds.com. All right, Adam, enjoy the weekend, man.
Good stuff, man. Thanks.
As always, Adam Caplan, Inside the Birds.